and good, safe day to you. You have Sir Rick and Drive Safe Dave here. Good morning. Listen, we want to make it a safe morning and Drive Safe Dave. We're just going to hop into it because everybody wants to know, with all of what's going on in this world, what in the heck does that shirt mean today?
This is a warning sign. It says slippery conditions ahead.
Slippery conditions ahead, and boy, he's a man of many words today.
Well, it could be.
You sound like you're smoking over there. I mean, what's going on?
I got a little upper respiratory thing going on, but this just means this could be from adverse weather conditions, construction, whatever it is. This just means slow down, slippery conditions ahead.
You know what I think? We need one of them, the defibrillator, whatever. When you
no, I don't need one of those. You've already done that. We've already done that on this show with a game that Rick had, shocked the participants, and now he wants a defibrillator. No,
you know
no,
what?
Sir.
Just in case, Drive Safe Dave. Listen, we want to make sure if something happens to you, we bring you back home to us. And here you are important, my friend, and
Wow.
we love you here at BCB Live. Let's just hop into it, though. Russia going on right now. Dave, I know you're a Washington insider. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the struggle is going on. I did see yesterday that a couple of things that happened. I do know that they're trying to encircle the capital city. Russia brought in miles and miles of troops to circle the capital of Kiev and try to put a little bit of stranglehold on the city to start to besiege the people within the city, putting up a resistance.
Yeah, and we hear a lot of people, and we had some conversation yesterday afternoon as well, and some emails from people saying, hey, well, why don't we just, as the United States, put up a no-fly zone over Ukraine? Drive Safe, you know the reason for that?
Well, first of all, that NATO would do that, not the United States.
I'm saying what the questions are. So U.S. could put those sanctions in.
Well, we really don't have they could, but it would be hard to enforce.
Well, it would. So I'm going to disagree with you. It wouldn't be hard to enforce. It would, though, however, mean that if U.S. shot down a plane, then we would now be in war.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's the difference. So when we think about what Drive Safe was trying to say there with the NATO side versus the U.S., listen, if the United States goes and says, like we're saying, why don't we enforce that no-fly air? Well, listen, that means that we've got to patrol it. And if that means that we shoot down a Russian, we have now really became in war with Russia.
Right. It's a direct conflict and not the United. Remember, we're over there. NATO's ideology and what we want to try to encompass is the reason we're in the bordering states is because we are reinforcing our NATO allies. So what we're trying to do is hold together that very strong pact, and we don't want to tear these apart. We want to make sure that we hold this union together to embolden to increase our better presence. I'll tell you what was really shocking yesterday was that the most neutral country in the entire world, all through all the wars that we have had in the past. Switzerland.
Yeah. Isn't there jokes around that? Like, I'm Switzerland.
Yeah, we're neutral and we
right?
don't want to get involved in anything. They got involved yesterday and they cut off some of the bank. If you can't bank through Switzerland, you got a problem.
Yeah. Even the narcos can
can bank through Switzerland. Now they
cut you off, that's part of it. Hey, Dave, we also did see, some major increases on the fuel price, and that's the diesel and the gasoline. So listen to this. On Friday, diesel was $2.84 a gallon. It's it was just a penny higher than it was back on February the 3rd. Well, on Monday, after we got done yesterday, we shot back up to 3.013 a gallon. Now, listen, there's all sorts of tax that get added on this, but 3.01 a gallon, that's a 16-cent increase overnight, Dave, 5.75% increase.
That's unbelievable. And you know what? We hadn't even stranglehold the petroleum yet. You know what I mean? I'm just saying this is just...
Yeah, there's not sanctions even in place or anything like that. I think it's more fear.
It is more fear.
This is a fear-related increase on that. It's the first time that we've seen fuel. I mean, go back to, the ultra-low diesel, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's the first time we've seen it settle above $3 since 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. And when we look at the prices, if we go back and we look at the gasoline prices, and if we look a year ago, so DOE just came out yesterday. When I look at the gasoline prices, Yesterday, 3.60 a gallon, 3.608. That's 8 cents higher than it was a week ago.
Wow.
But Drive Safe, listen to this, it's almost 90 cents higher than it was a year ago.
That's
and if we're going to throw it to that diesel side, so because that's what really affects most of us in our listening audience, is that it settled yesterday at 4.10 for a gallon, Dave. And again, if we think about a week ago, well, it's 5 cents higher. But if we go back a year ago, it's over $1.03 a gallon higher than it was a year ago.
That will affect your bottom line.
It will affect your bottom line. We spoke about that, I think, last week. We talked a little bit about what that means to you. And remember this, the independent contractors or companies that are out there running today, the purpose of a fuel surcharge is to try to get some of that back from your customers. And the smaller company to the larger company, the independent contractor, what we do know is this, is that most of them aren't going to have a fuel surcharge table. Every rate's negotiated.
Right.
And when Drive Safe Dave and I were talking last week about that, when I tell you that right now, $1.03 is the price per gallon is the increase from last year, just know that same $3 a mile freight you're getting right now isn't the same thing as it was a year ago.
No, it's not. It's you divide it by the number of miles per gallon you get, and that's how much less you're making on that rate per mile.
15, 18 cents a mile.
20 cents.
Less, yeah, somewhere around there. You're making that less than you were a year ago. And you got to make sure you realize this. And Dave, I want to hop back into this because as we continue to see those used truck prices stay high,
yep.
You know, these are things that you, the independent contractor, that you've got to really think of. Or if you're thinking about going in business, it's time for you to start your company. Be careful is all we're saying. And if you have one or two trucks, be careful before you add your third truck. Make sure you know your cost, Dave, because when we think about that, when we think about your diesel, we think about your maintenance, your payroll, your insurance, these are all costs that affect your bottom line.
Yeah, let's put it in good perspective. The price of fuel has nothing to do with the value of the freight. The freight can go up and down in value, and it can change what the rate will be, but it doesn't have anything to do with the cost of fuel. And the cost of fuel is dependent upon the world market. So those are two different markets and two different ways to look at it. Just because you have a high rate today doesn't mean you're going to have a high rate tomorrow, but that price of fuel is only going to be with what demand is. So you've got to really understand that those two things aren't necessarily connected, but they can make it very difficult to run your business.
And probably the one cost that I'm going to tell, and that's what this show's about, right? It's BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation because we encourage you and we talk to you about ways to be safe out there on the road. Listen, that safety is critical to your success. If you're not safe out there on the road, and forget the value of life for a second, if you're all about business. Well, if you're not safe out there on the road, this I can tell you, is that you will get a rate increase out there. And when you get a rate increase, once again, that affects your bottom line. And sometimes you can do everything right and still go get an increase, Dave.
That's correct.
You can still get an increase. And what I'm trying to also show you is that you've got to also talk to your insurance companies. Tell them what you are doing to be a safe driver, that it's no accident, that your loss runs. And again, when we talk loss runs, you know this. We're looking at your last 5 years. Your insurance company's looking at your 5 last years. That's what they're grading you on. And Dave, ways to improve your safety, ways to reduce your rates. I'm going to tell you one thing. Watch this show. Talk to your insurance about BCB Live and how you follow some of these things that we do, our practices, right? The be safe, the most important thing, the communicating to your family, to your dispatcher, to your customer about what's going on. And then that last piece, being on time, how that really doesn't come into importance. Your most important thing out there is to be safe, communicate, and if you can, be on time. Hey, listen, we're going to be back to you in about 60 seconds. We have Ellen Boya with Women in Trucking, president and founder of Women in Trucking, going to join us here for a little conversation only on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. We're joined today by a very powerful association in this trucking, and you and I speak about this. I got to think that it's got to be one of the top three, right? You have the Women in Trucking, you have American Trucking Association, and the what is it, TSA or the TCA. The TCA, we're going to your place in Vegas coming up in March. We better know who you are. But Dave, right now we're joined by Ellen Boya from Women in Trucking, president and founder of Women in Trucking. Let's see if we can get Ellen on the show. Ellen, good morning. How are you doing? We had some technical difficulties. Drive Safe's looking at me. Ellen, can you hear us okay? Technical difficulties number 2. So while we do this, I'm going to go back and say, and Dave, I appreciate you helping in and jumping in here and doing and talking or doing something other than just smiling at me. So we go back to about a year ago, maybe it was probably right at a year ago. We had Ellen on for the first time. Ellen, can you hear me? Ellen.
Can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
We hear you. You can't hear us.
Give a thumbs up.
Bam. You can't hear us. Do you know sign language, Drive Safe?
I do not.
No. Hey, well, let's keep talking. If you want to throw that to the side.
I'll tell you what,
Jack. So when we go back to Ellen, I remember our first time. So this is going to be how Ellen is going to get to know us at BCB. Is the first time we did it, it was horrific. I mean, our internet was down. It was spotty. I was on the headset, Dave. I was on the headset, like bent over leaning because we couldn't get the wireless ones to work. It was horrific. It was bad. I remember that. I'm not sure Ellen does, but she probably will after this.
Yeah, these guys, she'll be like, oh, no, not again. Now I remember.
It's all coming back to me. It's all coming back to me.
These guys need some technical assistance on the front end. And as we're going to continue to talk, I can't wait to talk to her about I have some great questions for Ellen in what's going on.
I love how you just judged your own questions, right? You have your own great questions.
I do have great questions.
Just ask me.
Ellen,
Ellen, can you hear us?
Now I can. Wow.
Ellen, I was saying that how you're going to get to know us for our technical difficulties, if anything. The last time that we had you on, it was just technical difficulty nightmare. And here we go, kind of starting the same thing. Hey, Ellen, I want to welcome you to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. And Dave, we want to start off by saying, hey, congrats to you and your organization, the association, for 15 years of Women in Trucking.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's this month. It was March of 2007.
Wow. You know what? And Ellen, I want to talk a little bit about that. When this started back in March of 2007, I would like to hear, maybe some of your early challenges, and then maybe end this with 1 or 2, maybe 3 of the successes that you've already accomplished or that you've accomplished in the last 15 years as well.
So the first challenge was getting recognition. When I tell people, Women in Trucking, they thought we were a magazine. They didn't realize we were a nonprofit association. And they also assumed that we were only for drivers. And I tell people we're not women in trucks, we're women in trucking. And so the goal for the first year was to hit 500 members, and we did. So apparently we struck a nerve in the trucking industry, and people realized that there was a need to bring more women in. But over the 15 years, I think some of the things I'm most proud of is our conference. Just before the pandemic, our last conference, we had 1,100 registered attendees, and about 85% of those are women. So when you go to a trucking event and it's mostly women, it's kind of, it's different. It's all good.
No, that was, and we got to attend your event here in Dallas that you had last year. That's when Whitney made her debut as well, right?
That's right. That was a long-term vision, to have a driver ambassador, a tractor trailer that could go around the country and people could come in with a hands-on learning environment, and there's touch screens in there. It's like, what are the myths about trucking? Do I have trucking in my DNA? What other jobs are there in the industry? And then in about 2 weeks, we're getting a simulator put in there from ATS. Oh, wow. They've donated one. So we'll have that at the Mid-America Trucking Show in Louisville later this month.
Oh, we love that. Big fan of the simulators. I think it gives the people a feel, and I like that because it's going to give men and women both that go to attend these things, get inside hop inside that trailer, get them a feel of what it's like to be out there on the road. Because Dave, as an ex-driver, there are some major challenges that go with just driving a truck.
Yeah, and it's kind of, and when you talk about major challenges, I want to hear what are some of your biggest challenges today that you're facing out there when you're in your organization?
Well, the biggest challenge is that women just don't picture themselves in the trucking industry. When I talk to women all over and I'll ask them, how many of you in high school or college said, I want to work in trucking or supply chain? And rarely do people raise their hands. So we have to change that. We have to get them thinking about careers in the trucking industry. We created the Girl Scout transportation patch, a supply chain patch that little girls can earn. It comes with an activity book that talks about how the grain goes from the field to the bakery in a truck, and from the bakery to the packaging and so on. But we need to get people to understand how trucks relate to them personally. And I think during the pandemic, we got a little touch of that, where people realized that it was their toilet paper and their hand sanitizer on the back of a truck. But I just don't think people associate their personal lives with the trucking industry enough. And that would be our biggest challenge, is to get people to understand how important this industry is.
Yeah, and there's no doubt we saw a major, crunch. And we continue to hear about the supply chain. Ellen, you and I spoke last week, and you touched on a subject that's near and dear to my heart already, and that's the security involving the tractors, right? Just in general, you brought up a point, and I want to talk about that because, we've got to start working with the, these truck manufacturers on creating a truck that's much like our house, that has some better security to let us know when somebody's inside that. Because, Ellen, to your point that, we've got to make sure that the truck stops at these rest areas, that they are more secure for all these drivers out there. But as we start to bring more women in, isn't that another item that we've got to also, make sure that we have addressed the security inside these tractors?
Oh, absolutely. And safety and security is very, very much a primary value for women in the industry, personal safety especially. And so we talked a little bit about this, but the safety, there's three parts to the safety aspect of a company. And the first is, how well maintained is their equipment? You don't want equipment that's going to break down, because that's not safe. Yeah. And then secondly, where are you sending the drivers? What part of town? How is it a well-lit area with security guards, or is it a dark, area that, nobody wants to go in? And then third, does the driver have the ability to say, no, I feel uncomfortable driving in that area because there's a tornado or a protest or a snowstorm or something? So those three things make up the safety and security. But going back to the cab of the truck, people always think of the truck as a truck instead of as a home. Yep. And so we've challenged the manufacturers to put in like a security alarm system. I have one in my home. So if I'm not here and somebody tries to break in, then the police will be here within 2 minutes. And so we need something, either on their phone or that if somebody tries to break in while the driver's either in the truck or in the truck stop, it doesn't matter. If somebody tries to break in, an alarm will sound and someone will be called. So we need to do that.
Yeah, and you brought that up, and I want you to know that I immediately after our conversation, we talked to two different manufacturers about the same thing. Let them know that you were at one of them not too long ago, and they talked about, Dave, the
alarm.
The alarm inside of it, and
panic button.
The panic button, and it gave me a really good chance to say, hey, it's too late at that point, right? What about it's a house, and Dave, you were at lunch when we were talking about that. I think it took them a minute to realize it's a home.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. Yeah, that's what I was trying to express to them by being a former driver. Look, that is your house. That is your home. That's where you not only do you work, but it's also where you sleep, it's where you eat, it's where you change your clothes, it's where you do everything. And that 8 by 12 area, it needs to be, you need to feel safe in it all the time, whether you're in the captain's chair or whether you're in the bunk. You just need to feel safe, or you're not going to be doing well. I mean, the stress and all that other stuff will compound your ability to drive well too. So, you know, when we talk about that, I think that's not, and I think women bring it to light, but I think it's a real thing for everybody, right? I don't think it's just a women thing. I think this is a real issue that you're bringing to light in a way nobody else has.
Well, yeah, because women are telling us that they're either putting the seatbelts around the door handle, I mean, women and men, putting their seatbelts around the door handle, or heaven forbid, I mean, 25%, we did a survey of over 400 drivers, 25% of them are carrying a gun. Now, do you really want your drivers carrying a gun? Do they need to feel like they have to carry a gun in order to feel protected? And then they talk to each other about, oh, carrying a tire thumper or carrying, you know, something to keep themselves safe. Well, they need to feel safe. You wouldn't want to go to your job and say, well, I only feel safe half the time. We need to make sure that they feel safe all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Ellen, when we talk about, and you brought up a great point there about and I think it's a cultural thing within trucking companies. How do we, as a trucking industry, and I know we have a lot of things we work on all the time. We're working on turnover, and we're working on, the safety culture of a company. What are some points that you can give to us that can make us think a little bit different about a driver? And because you brought up a good point, the respect level that says a driver, and it can be a male or female, doesn't feel comfortable with going out to this location. It's not well lit. It's not a very safe location. There's protests going out there. What about us on the dispatch, on the back end, the support side? What are ways that we can change our mindset to realize that we may be sending them into an unsafe area? Because so many times I feel like we treat a load that it just has to be on time, and we forget the human aspect behind transportation.
Well, drivers have to have some way of providing feedback. And so I know a lot of companies on their apps, they're letting them give feedback on a shipper. So does the shipper have Wi-Fi available? Does the shipper allow pets? Does the shipper have a restroom available? Things like that. So if you allow the drivers to give you feedback on your customers, and know not to send them into a place that, you know, might not be safe, then, you know, let the driver decide, but let the driver give the feedback.
Yeah, that's a great point. And for the trucking companies out there that watch us, you know, I'm just going to go out there and give me a second to talk to you for a second. That means you've got to have action. When you see these comments from any driver, from a driver on a shipper receiver, you know, you, the salesman, you, the VP, or whatever that is, you've got to take that information and do something, because what we are hearing when that is a driver saying, I don't feel safe at this location, and we must take it and be that messenger for these drivers to the shippers and receivers.
Absolutely.
So, Ellen, one question for you that I do want to hear
it's fun.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, I've sat in on driver meetings where they've told the carriers, you know, this company won't allow me to use their restroom, or this company treats me like this. And the carriers are just incredulous. They're like, why didn't you tell us? Well, sometimes you need to go ask them.
Or have a venue or an avenue in which they can feel like they can tell, not just their dispatcher, hey, I was there, but I mean, a place to record that information, right? A format in which the driver, and you can keep a good record of the information. When you do this, how big of an association are you? You know, we talk about it. How large of an association do you have right now? How many members?
We have about 6,400 members, and that's individual. 6,400, and that's corporate and individual. So if a carrier joins, they're counted as one. And actually, we're in 10 countries, believe it or not, mostly in North America. But we've got members in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and South Africa. We've got a lot of members in Africa. So they want us as a resource. They want information from us. So yeah, we could grow much bigger, but I'm happy. I mean, 6,400 is not bad.
Not
so
bad.
far.
Very good. And you know what? A great job, especially in your 15-year. So, Ellen, I'm going to take a minute here. So, for us, BCB Live, it's about safety. Our why for BCB Live is because we feel like the drivers out there, they need a better support staff from us on the behind the scenes. And yes, we have to get some more, safer drivers. We got to talk to them about some of the decisions they make. We have to just do a better job of educating. That's our big why. We love it and we're passionate about safety. Ellen, you 15 years ago, you created Women in Trucking. You're the founder of Women in Trucking. What is your why for doing that?
I've always had a passion for the people side of the industry. The trucking industry really isn't about trucks and it's not really about freight. It's really about people. And so I've been in the trucking industry since 1979 when I earned my diploma in traffic and transportation management. But for me, it's always been about the people. And I really felt that the industry wasn't tapping into a resource such as women, and that the industry wasn't doing a very good job of saying, these are great jobs, and you make the same amount of money as a male. And 15 years ago, I would hear from carriers, oh, we just hired the best person. We don't care about their age, their ethnicity, we don't, or their gender, we don't care. And then I'd say, well, then why are your uniforms just for men? Or, trucks were only designed for men. I mean, the showers, remember what the showers were like? It was like a locker room. There wasn't even a place for a woman to take a shower at a truck stop. So it really wasn't a level playing field. And we didn't have any data. So now we have a lot of data. We have lots of information on safety and turnover and things like that. And the industry has found that women make very good drivers. We just need to attract them.
Awesome, man. We love that. We're excited. Ellen, I want to thank you for being part of BCB Live. One thing I do ask, and we ask this of everybody, is we'd love for you to say your name, your association, Women in Trucking, and say, thank you for watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
So I'm Ellen Boya, President and CEO of the Women in Trucking Association. And our URL is womenintrucking.org. And I want to thank you for watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Bam! Ellen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's our pleasure. And you know what? We can't wait to get this video out for those that are watching it live right now. We see tons of thumbs up. Thank you, Ellen, for what you do. And let us know anytime that we can be there to help or get any kind of message out you need as well. All right.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to tell people about women in trucking.
Thank you, Ellen. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Drive safe, Dave. What a phenomenal association this is, and as we said, a very powerful association.
And growing. And you talk about that many members, you're talking about a very, not only a powerful force, but a political force, a movement, and I hope that it continues to grow and brings great information and great changes to the industry.
And there was one thing that if you're out there, and let's just say you're one of those folks that want to be treat this trucking industry as a predator. They're easy people to pick off or whatever. Be careful. You heard 26% of them women are carrying guns. Be careful. Be careful. Wow. Be careful. Be careful. Hey, listen, Drive Safe, Dave. It's Phrase It Pays time. It's 7:30. Can you give us that phrase that pays?
Absolutely. Traffic or weather can be a mess. Slowing down will lower your stress.
One more time.
Traffic or weather can be a mess. Slowing down will lower your stress.
BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We got Buckle Up Bob coming up next with weather and traffic.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Is Buckle Up Bob to get you started off a little bit with some traffic this morning. We got some issues in the DFW area, and I can't remember where I saw it, so it was either here on the 30, or I think it's down here on 20 near Duncanville, but there was a bad accident, so, hey, they are rerouting people, so tune into your local station. But we got all kinds of problems in the DFW area. You can see a huge backup here from 820, right at the 287 split, all the way east, right, to 360. So, again, south of Arlington here, on the eastbound lanes, you've got some major backup. And then here, once you get on 67, heading west, you have some problems as well. North and south also has some issues. The loop is a problem all the way from 80, all the way around here to 75. In the Dallas area, and then inside the loop, you've got a major headache heading westbound on 30 as you approach. So again, take the loop. It still is your best bet. And then again, connecting to Fort Worth, right? 30 has issues. Always a problem going eastbound. As I said, 20 going eastbound. And then also eastbound out of near Bedford and Hurst, you have a problem there. We have our typical all the way backed up below Burleson now, 35W on the northbound lane. A little bit of problem at the merge point here at 30 and 820. And then also here near Saginaw, out by Meacham Airport, you have a problem as well. And then the northbound construction once you get north of the 820 loop. So Dallas, Fort Worth. Hey, a lot of patience going to be needed this morning. To pack it, right? Pack extra patience. Keep that speed down and the space up. Right? Keep increased spacing. Let them in. They're going to take it anyway. Just realize that, hey, you'll get through it, but you'll get through it a whole lot better if there's no accident. As we go to the Houston area, Houston is a nightmare as well. So this Tuesday is Fat Tuesday, right? I believe it is. So again, looks like we got a lot of problems going on in all areas. Downtown Houston is horrible. The loop looks pretty good. So, folks, you got to take the loop. You are going to save a whole lot of time taking this outer loop. We have our normal eastbound direction on 10 backed up all the way out here to 99 near Katy. Also, the tollway here. You also have problem here from the loops all the way back out to 99 as well. 45, once you get inside the loop, gets really bad as well. So, again, Houston, folks, stay on that loop wherever you can. Take the loop around. It's your best bet this morning. Got a lot of problems in Houston as well. And we get a little bit of a breather in Kansas City. Kansas City's one of our bright spots. Not a problem this morning. Everything looks clear. 435, 70 going both directions. 35 passing through on either side looks good. As we go up north, we also got no problems here on 435 or 29. So again, Kansas City, you all look great this morning as you're going through your commute. Chicago looks good for Chicago, right? I mean, 80, 94 as you cross the state line. Indiana, Illinois looks good. 80 on the Illinois side. 55 clear. Even inside the loop looks good. 88 looks clear. 90 great. And then 94 coming from the north also looks good as well as you come to Chicago. Just the downtown area is going to be a problem. So everywhere else looks great. Even out here by the O'Hare Airport looks good. So Chicago, keep it up, patience and slower speeds, and you'll get through it just fine this morning. As we go to Atlanta, Atlanta's a nightmare again. Folks, we are backed up both directions in spots on the loop from 20 all the way around to 20 on the other side. So we have just a little section to the south down by the airport that is good. But everywhere else, there's problems. 85 all the way back up to past Pleasant Hill this morning. So, again, we're even past the 316 on 85. That is the southbound direction till you get inside the loop, right? The northern part. Really dark maroon here, so probably a major accident on between 75 and 19. You can see it there near just west of Sandy Springs. You're going to have a problem. That is on the eastbound direction. So again, heading east on this 285 loop, going to be a problem once you cross 75. We got traffic in both directions just on the southern side of that 75 merge point. So again, 20 backed up all the way out here on to 6. And then again, the downtown area, of course, can't go through there if you're a truck. You must take the loops. The loops are going to require a lot of patience this morning. So please, please be patient. Let them in. Don't create to the headache, right? It's already going to be a headache. We can only make it worse. Be patient. All right, as we go into our Baltimore or Nashville area, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. My bad. Again, 24 is backed up all the way down here by Sagefield. So again, a lot of traffic issues. 65 has some problems on the northbound side as you come up, and you are backed up all the way to Crockett Cove, El Dorado Acres, and all the way up here until you get to the loop. You got some problems on 40 on the westbound direction. So again, a little bit back here in Monticello. Then again, as you approach the 155 loop, we have problems on the eastbound side, back before Newsom and Pegram. And then again, right here at West Meade on 40 on the eastbound direction. And then our normal congestion points, right? The 24 southbound, right there at 65 merge point, and the 2440 merge point. So Nashville got a lot of traffic both directions. On the east side heading west, and on the west side heading east on 40, you're going to have some backups. And 24 and 65 south of Nashville heading north are going to be major issues this morning. 24 is typically there, 65 is not. So it's going to take a lot of patience as you try to get into the Nashville area this morning. All right, let's get some good news. Hey, Baltimore looks like a typical normal commute, right? Just some slowdown areas. The northern side of the loop is always a problem, and also back here by 795, 695 merge point. So again, but everything else, you can see a lot of green. A little bit here on 70 on the eastbound direction, just as you get outside the loop at Woodlawn. As we head south to the DC, our connecting routes, 295, Jessup, typical. But South Laurel is even backed up longer than normal. So again, you're going to have some problems on 295 as you head south. 95, Interstate 95 looks good right till you get to the loop. But then once you get to the loop, folks, we got a lot of dark maroon. So again, that usually means stop and go traffic and probably an accident, right? Again, and that's all the way from Beltsville all the way to 270 merge point, South Kensington. All this is dark red. From Beltsville, it is the westbound direction. But as you come in here off of 270, it is the eastbound direction and South Kensington that also has a problem. So might have a couple accidents there. You can see the loop has some stop and go. 66 has some problems coming in the eastbound direction. 95 northbound direction, you also have a problem from Woodbridge to Lorton all the way up to Springfield merge point. So DC, hey, gonna take a lot of patience this morning. Pack a little extra. Get through it nice and safe. Remember, let them in, right? Keep that speed and space and don't make the situation worse. And as we look in our Philadelphia, yep, not much better, folks. Again, the New Jersey side has some issues. In the typical area, right here, Belmar and Haddonfield, always a problem. 95 along the river is a little bit of an issue. We always have 76 backed up to Conshohocken, but before, past that, it looks pretty good this morning. And 476 doesn't start till Marple Township down to 95 through Swarthmore. So, again, on the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania side, it looks like a typical commute. Not too bad considering what it normally is. And just a little bit of some issues over here on the New Jersey side. As we get into Nashville, wow, Nashville is usually pretty clean. It is not this morning, folks. The loop. 465 down here at 74 right on the south. Both directions here between 31 and 65. Otherwise, it's the south and the west direction on 465. All the way backed up here just south of 40, all the way to 31 as well. So you're going to have some major problems there. 70 has a couple of spots. The typical one right here as you come through the downtown area. And then also right as you approach the loop. We also have some issues on the northeast side of 465 from Lawrence all the way up to Allisonville. So again, as you come through that 69 North merge point, you're going to have some backups there in Indianapolis. So again, we got a lot of traffic going on this morning. And let's see, I believe we're going to get some breaks on our weather. Another beautiful day today. You can see a little bit of wind in Wyoming creeping into Colorado. As we go through the day, it kind of stays put. A little bit more in Montana, but you can see it's just kind of a typical windy day in Wyoming. The rest of the country looks really good today for this Fat Tuesday. And as we go into tomorrow, let's check our winds tomorrow afternoon. Again, not much. A little bit in West Virginia there, but we're looking in that 25-mile variety kind. Let's see what kind of precipitation we got coming up. Again, we talked yesterday. It's just going to be up a little bit up there by the extreme north. You can see some rain coming in the northwest, a little bit of snow in the upper elevations. Same thing up here in northern Vermont and northern New York. And as you go through Wednesday, right, Wisconsin could see some snow, the northern tips of Michigan, but not too bad. Looks like, for our next 48 hours, we're going to have some pretty decent weather. Our temperatures are going to warm up, right? For those who have been waiting, you can see today, I think it's around 3 p.m. is our highest. So you can see a lot of 70s, 60s in the south. Not a lot of blue, right? Even Toronto is going to have 40 degrees. Detroit, 51. So we really get a nice warm up. St. Paul's above freezing. So that should continue as we come in. Our only concern is that winter may not be over. You can see some great temperatures tomorrow as well, because what's the saying? March in like a lion, out like a lamb. Well, it's coming in like a lamb, so that usually doesn't bode well for later in March. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we get some good weather and that winter is officially over. Hey, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob. This morning we had Ellen on from Women in Trucking, and just president, founder of Women in Trucking, a great organization, association. If you're a woman driver out there, you're a male driver out there, listen, it's a phenomenal organization for you to get behind and join. Companies will join it, individuals can join it. The membership's needed. Again, it's one of the larger associations out there that gets their point out. And she made a great point, and I wish we had more time to talk about that, because the industry remember, it's women in trucking. It's not women just trucking, right? It's women in trucking. It's the back office side. It's the CEOs. It's the COOs. It's all of that. The CFOs that women are able to join in, and what a phenomenal industry this is. And Drive Safe Dave, we think about it, and I'll just go back to, if I go back years and years ago, this was a male-dominated field.
Absolutely. I remember walking in there. You wouldn't see any women on the yard, and you might see one or two dispatchers, but that was about it in the entire office. Now you come in and it's very diversified, right? It has truly balanced itself in a lot of ways inside the office, and I hope that translates into ever more presence outside on the yard, right? I mean, it's there now. I don't think this is a men's only club anymore. I think this is an all-inclusive club of everybody well-trained and and going out there and making this industry what it can be.
Yeah, for certain. And we think about women, in trucking. Now I'm going to talk about the women in driving. Buckle up, Bob. We have seen studies out there that show that women are safer drivers than men. And I'm just going to go and say it starts at a young age. I mean, when they're out of high school, there's a reason their insurance is cheaper than the boys, right? When they get out of high school or in high school.
Yeah, you're right. It trickles down to all kinds of aspects of driving. But I know growing up that my insurance was quite a bit higher than my sister's. But unfortunately, in my family, the women had all the accidents. So it was a little bit of.
You're going against the
I'm going against the grain. But I'm
Let's
sorry.
just hop into safety.
Hey, welcome everybody to Fat Tuesday. And we're going to talk this week about, we're talking about too fast for conditions. Today we want to talk about the curves. We talk a lot, we see some videos that we've been able to share where the curves, you're entering them too fast. And you got to remember that speed limit is for four-wheelers. And some statistics to just kind of go down is that 40% of speed-related fatalities happen in curves. That's not just trucks, that's all vehicles. So it's imperative that all vehicles, trucks and four-wheelers, slow down in these curves. Just because it's posted at 40 or 25, get under that, right? And just drivers, you know, we use a term a lot about never exceed the limitations of your equipment. And trucks are top heavy, right? Their center of gravity is higher, so they're going to roll over if you don't take these speeds seriously in these curves.
Yes, sir. Great point on that. We see Drive Safe shirt. You know, we see it's either a Bon Jovi shirt or is it slippery when wet?
Slippery conditions ahead. Not necessarily just wet, but it could be gravel on the road, right? Or,
yes.
So it's just slippery conditions ahead.
All right, we got some videos.
Yes, we do.
Hop into them. Let's take a look.
Bon Jovi.
Man, this is kind of scary because you got no really where to go, but you watch the four-wheeler up there weaving in and out, taking 3 or 4 lanes to grab that exit and passing through. Just a good job of the driver, keeping some space and creating some. You see that truck on the right, right there, slows down as well. And then you got no space, and then you got some space. So good job of the driver trying to find a safe area just to be in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, it's like a four-wheeler's nightmare. 3 trucks on the highway, you know,
Yes.
all together, and none of those trucks have a location that's near as important as this four-wheeler. His place is hot. He's got to hurry up and get to the convenience store to get that pack of cigarettes, whatever he's after, and the lines are just going over 4 lanes to get to that exit.
Yep.
But he does. I mean, good thing is he's just picking on the car too. He's not showing favoritism.
And here's a great patience, right? Great space. Make a lane change. You kind of see in the mirror, it looks like the car in the lane next actually checks just a little bit to make sure the driver is not going to keep coming. But just a great way to merge onto the traffic. You've got, a lot of going on, and just keeping your eye on your mirrors, keeping that distance out in front of you. That allows you to adjust if something does go wrong. Great job here.
Yeah, agree. And when you see that, when you're merging on this highway, Drive Safe, we see that disabled possible vehicle on the left-hand side, whatever that is over there, that just also says if there's another car in that left-hand lane that they're going to slow down, possibly merge over to the center lane or the right-hand lane, whatever that is. And I just liked, Bob, with what you're saying. The way that the driver went on this was phenomenal. Just a great way to enter in the highway and to merge the right way.
Yeah, that is textbook right there, I think. And here, we talked a couple weeks ago about turns and how dangerous they are. And here, it's green, but you're trying to get in a hurry. Remember, you've got to make sure right here that this lane's clear. So just want to caution a little bit. Really a good job with not allowing anybody to come on the right. But again, don't get in such a big hurry to beat that light that you got to make sure that you got them lanes clear when you make this turn. They were, but it's just kind of a cautionary tale. The driver did a good job here. Really loved he didn't do what we call it, the jug handle. He did the button hook and really looked good. Great textbook making a right turn at these intersections. But make sure that lane is clear. Don't get in too big a hurry. And the next one here, you've got everything going well here, and then you're going to create the problem, right? Keep the space. Slow down. It's okay to get over in this lane, but slow down. But then we make 2 lane changes really quick, this driver does, right? And it becomes a tailgate situation. Take your time right now, maybe signal, slow down, make your lane change, and then make sure there's nothing else. Pause and go over to the next one. But you created a bad situation here for about 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then also we just see it now as well. There's another lane merging on.
Yes.
So just make sure that you control that. What do you say? Control the lane before you exit out of that, right? Before you merge back out of it. So make sure you have control of that lane. And I think control means greater than a half a second. What's it? How long should they maintain control of that lane before
3 to
they
5
move over?
seconds.
3 to 5 seconds.
Gotcha.
Yes,
3 to
sir.
5 seconds is the time that you want to make sure that you own that lane before you just merge back out of that.
Yeah, and I see more and more vehicles driving without headlights on at night. So you can't assume that there's nothing over there just because you don't see any lights. And then again, the next one, it's a tailgate situation. So want to make sure again, just back off, right? There's just no reason to be following. This car's going really slow for whatever reason, but you just got to back off, not create that tailgate situation. And then you're going to make this lane change anyway. So just, again, the lane change isn't the problem, folks. It's tailgating and making that lane change nice and safe.
Yeah, so when you're sitting there and you have that car, and I get it, you want to try to maintain your speed to, but you can't get on this car's tail like this. And again, count it out loud. I mean, if you can't get to 1001, you're probably too close. You are too close. And that's the part we just want you to find different ways, whatever it is, to recognize when you are too close. Because until you recognize it, you won't back off.
No.
And that's the part there when you find that. And Dave, I just think too, when we think about it, when you're following that car or truck and you're getting impatient, odds are you're probably going to be too close because you're impatient.
Absolutely.
Right? And when you recognize that, boy, right now I am anxious, I'm impatient, I'm yelling out the window, and I got all sorts of fingers showing. You know what? It's time to back off. It's time to reduce your speed, increase your space.
Yeah, and on that last one, the speed that was going on was 49 miles an hour.
Like
There's a situational awareness there that something's wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever, it could be impairment, it could be medical. But there's something wrong with that driver or that vehicle in front of you. So you've got to recognize that. Hey, why are they doing 48 on an interstate? So there's a problem which should warn you to back off as well because you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, sometimes when you see those cars on the interstate that are just going slow, when I first see them, I just think silver alert, right? Some old person's got on the road and they're lost. They don't know where they are because I don't understand it, right? I mean, when you're on that interstate and, why would you ever drive 45 miles an hour on an interstate? As in a four-wheeler, it's just, something's wrong though, right? I mean, and I say silver alert, and those are older folks that are in the car. There's maybe they're just a young kid. Maybe they are impaired.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe they're drunk. Maybe they're on drugs. We don't know the reason, but regardless of the situation,
Could be mechanical failure.
yeah, it could be mechanical failure. Yeah, there's all sorts. We can go into what else.
What
could
you
it be?
think? I always say, first thing pops in my mind is alcohol. It always
could be
does.
anything
It
on
really
that.
does.
Yeah, it could be that his speedometer doesn't work. Whatever that is. And we want to make sure we recognize that. It's what we want to do because we're not helping the situation at all by following too close.
Nope.
Even if the driver's drunk, listen, you don't want to be close to him. If the driver's old or too young and it's their first time on the road, listen, you're making them nervous. You may make them create a bad decision. And that's not what we're about. And
Right.
I just think it's realizing first that you're in that situation.
Yeah, terrific points. You can startle them. Again, there's something wrong, and you being that close is just going to make them anxious.
Yeah,
That's a great
Drive
point.
Safe Dave, oftentimes he'll be way too, and he makes me anxious. True or false?
I make you anxious in the same room. It could be
Yeah.
across
That's
the
because
room.
you're too
You tailgate.
close.
You tailgate in the hallway.
He's a tailgater. Let me tell you, he's a toucher. He's a tailgater.
A
He's
space
all that.
invader.
Hey, we have any callers on the
Yeah.
line? Anybody have any questions, comments to make? We have a couple of 3 minutes in Drive Safe Dave. As we got one. Here we go.
All right, Andy Strickland, we'll try this out. This is the first caller.
Ooh, we got our first Zoom caller here. Andy,
All right.
good morning to you.
Oh,
Let's see, ask to unmute.
Andy, we need you to unmute if you can. There you are.
Hello.
Hey, Andy, good morning to you, sir.
you there, Andy?
I am.
All right, what you got?
I I don't. What do you mean? What have I got?
Well, Andy, you're going to have to make something up now. For some reason, we thought you were calling in. You may have had your hand raised without even knowing it. Andy, how you doing out there on that highway today, or wherever you are?
I am stuck in your drop lot.
Well, that's not good.
I did hear that this morning. They're working on you, though, aren't they?
8 o'clock, they'll be here.
All right. Well, you got 4 minutes. About the time we sign off.
No, I have an hour and 4 minutes.
Oh, you're not. Oh, you must be back an hour behind
You're
us.
in Colorado. Or
Right in Colorado. Have y'all been to this drop lot? Have y'all looked at this drop lot?
I don't know if I have. I think you need to send a picture in to
yes, please.
info@bcblive.com. We'll send you up this. We'll show you the bottom thirds now. So anybody has a email or question or comment, you can always email us at info@bcblive.tv. So check it out. It's .tv, not .com, because when you're a TV station, when you're a TV star like Drive Safe Dave, you have .tv. Drive Safe Dave, you want to close us out with a prayer?
Yeah, dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, give us the strength and the courage to go out today and to do your will upon the world as you see it. Father, also give us the ability to be safe, be kind, and be considerate. Help us to take care of one another today as we do what we need to do today. Help us make great decisions. Help us to be safe and to protect all those out there on the road. Place your hand on all steering wheels today and get everybody through another day safely. We ask for in all this in your name. Amen.
Hey, thank you for watching BCB Live. We'll be on again this afternoon. Remember to make today a safe day. Recognize when you catch yourself, following too close, and then do that action to back off. All we want to do is to make sure we're protecting life, protecting you, protecting that driving record that you have. Listen, BCB Live, we're the safest station in the nation, but we have an attitude about safety. We want to make sure that we are always out there representing our industry the absolute best way we can, and no better way than to make it a safe decision, to make it a safe way you drive that truck. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for being our heroes. We'll see you this afternoon.